How do the people in your life make you feel? Do they uplift and inspire you, or do they leave you drained, second guessing yourself? The relationships we surround ourselves with shape our emotional well being. Supportive friends and family bring warmth, encouragement, and stability. But not everyone in our circle has a positive impact. Toxic individuals can quietly chip away at your self esteem, cloud your judgment, and pull you into unnecessary drama. Sometimes it's the very people we trust who hinder our growth. You might not even realize the weight they add to your life until you step away. Stoic philosophy teaches us that life is too valuable to waste on relationships that bring harm. Holding on to toxic friendships out of habit or guilt only delays your peace. If you've been feeling exhausted, unheard, or manipulated, it might be time to reevaluate who truly deserves a place in your life. To safeguard your mental health and emotional balance, here are 5 types of people you should distance yourself from immediately. Recognizing these signs can be the first step toward reclaiming your inner peace. Let's dive in. The friend who always needs something. Imagine having a friend who only reaches out when they need something. At first, you don't mind because you're naturally helpful. The second time, you assume they're in a difficult situation again. But after the third, fourth, and fifth time, it becomes obvious. Every conversation is about them. They never check in just to ask how you're doing. They never offer help when you're struggling. Slowly, you realize they don't see you as a real friend, just as someone they can use when it's convenient. This doesn't mean you should stop helping people. True friendship is about mutual support. Sometimes you help them, sometimes they help you. But when a relationship becomes one-sided, when they only take and never give, you have to ask yourself if this is a real friendship or just an obligation you've created out of habit. A real friend doesn't just show up when they need something. They care about you even when they don't need a favor. Mark had a friend named Jake who always needed something: class notes, money for small expenses, help fixing his phone. Mark, being a generous person, always said yes. But one day Mark had a big decision to make and needed advice. He reached out to Jake, expecting the same support he had given so many times before. But Jake barely listened. He seemed distracted, uninterested, and quickly changed the subject. That was the moment Mark realized their friendship was never equal. It wasn't that Jake was a bad person, but Mark had never set boundaries. Without realizing it, he had taught Jake that his kindness had no limits. When you always say yes, people start believing your help is endless. If you never ask for anything in return, they assume you don't need support. Over time, the relationship becomes unbalanced. You give, they take, and you're left feeling drained. That's why setting boundaries is important. It's not about pushing people away. It's about making sure your kindness is respected, not taken for granted. If a friend constantly asks for favors, but never shows up when you need them, you have every right to change how you respond. You don't have to cut them off completely, but you should make it clear that friendship is about give and take. The next time they come to you only when they need something, try saying, "I can't help this time, but I hope you find another solution." It's a simple, firm, and polite way to remind them that your time and energy matter too. Choosing to protect your peace doesn't make you selfish. It makes you someone who values yourself. Stoic wisdom teaches that your worth isn't measured by how much you do for others, but by how you see yourself. If someone only takes from you and never gives anything back, it's okay to step away. Letting go of people who drain your energy allows you to invest in friendships that bring you happiness, trust, and genuine connection. The friend who makes you doubt yourself. Have you ever had a friend who always manages to make every problem your fault? No matter what happens, they twist the situation until you're the one feeling guilty. This kind of friend is not just difficult to deal with, they might actually be gaslighting you. Gaslighting is a form of emotional manipulation that makes you question your own reality. It often comes in the disguise of concern or kindness, but the result is always the same. You feel confused, drained, and uncertain about yourself. Imagine a friend named Adam. Every time something goes wrong, he blames you. If plans fall through, he says, "You always ruin everything," even though he's the one who showed up late. When you express your feelings, he tells you, "You're overreacting," making you second guess your emotions. If you ever call him out, he turns the conversation around, making himself the victim and you the villain. He might even say things like, "I care about you, but you make everything so difficult." His words sound caring, but they're designed to make you feel at fault while avoiding responsibility for his own actions. Why would a friend behave like this? Often, people who manipulate others do so because they feel insecure or fear losing control. Instead of admitting their own mistakes, they shift the blame onto you. They don't want to take responsibility, so they make you question yourself instead. This kind of behavior can be hard to recognize because it happens slowly over time. You might start feeling guilty about things that aren't your fault. You might apologize just to keep the peace. Eventually, you start believing their version of events instead of trusting your own feelings. The best way to spot a friend like this is to look for patterns. Do they frequently say one thing but do another? Do they make you feel like your emotions are wrong? Do they always put their needs above yours? A real friend listens, respects your feelings, and supports you. A manipulative friend makes you doubt yourself and feel like you have to prove your worth. Over time, this can destroy your confidence and leave you feeling exhausted. Stoic philosophy teaches that while we can't control how others act, we can control how we respond. If you think a friend is gaslighting you, take a step back and ask yourself, are their words and actions consistent? Do I feel happy and safe around them? Or do I always feel anxious and guilty? If a friendship constantly makes you feel bad about yourself, that's a sign something is wrong. The best way to protect yourself is to set clear boundaries. If they blame you for something that isn't your fault, calmly say, "I don't think that's fair. I want this friendship to be based on mutual respect." If they continue to ignore your feelings or twist your words, it might be time to distance yourself. Walking away isn't always easy, especially from a long-term friendship, but you deserve relationships that bring you joy, not self-doubt. A real friendship helps you grow, feel valued, and trust yourself. If someone makes you feel the opposite, they aren't really a friend. Letting go of toxic relationships allows you to focus on people who truly care about you, making space for happiness and self-respect in your life. The friend who never reaches out. Have you ever felt like you're the only one keeping a friendship alive? You're always the one texting first, making the calls, and planning meetups. After a while, you start to wonder, if you stopped reaching out, would they even notice? When all the effort falls on you, the friendship starts to feel less like a connection and more like an obligation. Not only is this exhausting, but it also makes you feel unappreciated and undervalued. Imagine having a friend named Ryan. Ryan is great company when you're together, fun, engaging, and always up for a good time. But there's one problem. He never initiates contact. Every time you suggest meeting up, he happily agrees, but if you don't reach out, weeks or even months of silence follow. When you finally message him, he responds as if he's doing you a favor, just by replying. It's not that Ryan is a bad person, but his actions make it clear that he's not prioritizing the friendship. This kind of dynamic can leave you feeling lonely and unimportant. Why do some people behave this way? Sometimes they don't even realize the imbalance. Other times, they're simply prioritizing other areas of their life and don't see maintaining the friendship as a responsibility. It could also be a case of poor self-awareness. They assume you'll always be there, so they don't put in the effort. But regardless of their reasons, the impact on you is the same. You're left feeling like your friendship isn't valued. Maintaining a one-sided friendship is emotionally draining. Friendship should be a two-way street where both people invest time and energy. Stoic philosophy teaches us that relationships should bring mutual benefit, not leave one person feeling burdened. A healthy friendship isn't about one person doing all the work. It's about balance, appreciation, and shared effort. When you're always the one making the effort without anything in return, it's not just about their actions, it's about your self-worth. You deserve relationships where mutual appreciation is natural, not something you have to beg for. So, how do you handle this? The first step is to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, how do I feel after every interaction with this person? If the answer is consistently exhausted, disappointed, or unappreciated, that's a clear sign that something needs to change. A friendship should leave you feeling uplifted, not emotionally drained. The next step is to address the situation with clear but gentle communication. You don't need to be confrontational, but you should be direct. You could say something like, I've noticed that I'm always the one reaching out, and it makes me feel like this friendship isn't important to you. I want to know if this is something you value too. This gives them an opportunity to reflect on their behavior and change if they truly care about the friendship. If nothing changes after this conversation, it may be time to reevaluate your commitment to the friendship. This doesn't mean you have to cut them off completely, but it might mean shifting your energy to people who genuinely value your presence. Sometimes, creating a little distance helps you see the true nature of the relationship. If you stop reaching out and they never notice, that tells you everything you need to know. Friendships should never feel like you're carrying all the weight. According to Stoic wisdom, relationships thrive on mutual respect, not obligation. If you find yourself doing all the work while the other person barely lifts a finger, it's time to ask yourself if this friendship is really worth maintaining. You deserve friends who meet you halfway, who appreciate your efforts, and who make you feel valued, not like you're just another task on their to-do list. The friend who always talks about themselves. Have you ever had a conversation with someone that somehow always turns into a discussion about them? No matter what you start talking about, even if it's something important to you, the focus quickly shifts. You might open up about your struggles or worries, hoping for some support, but within minutes, they're talking about their own experiences. Instead of feeling heard, you end up feeling invisible. This type of friend may not intentionally make you feel overlooked, but their lack of attention can make you feel like a background character in your own story. Imagine meeting up with a friend named David. You tell him about the stress you've been feeling at work, hoping for some comfort or advice. But before you can finish, David starts talking about how busy he's been, the challenges he's dealing with, and the successes he's had. Before you know it, the conversation is no longer about you. It has become a long speech about David's life, leaving your concerns completely forgotten. You leave the conversation feeling drained and unimportant, as if your voice didn't matter. This doesn't mean David is a bad person. He might not even realize what he's doing. Some people talk about themselves as a way to connect, believing that sharing their own experiences will help build a bond. But when this becomes a pattern, it stops being a conversation. It turns into a one-sided exchange, where one person talks and the other just listens. Over time, this imbalance can make you feel like your thoughts and feelings don't matter in the friendship. Why do some friends behave this way? Sometimes it's because they are naturally self-focused and unaware of how their behavior affects others. Other times, they might struggle with emotional intelligence and don't know how to be present for someone else. In some cases, they could even be using constant talking as a way to avoid deeper emotional connections. Regardless of the reason, the result is the same. You feel unheard, undervalued, and emotionally drained. Stoic philosophy teaches that a healthy relationship should be based on mutual investment. A true friendship is not just about sharing experiences. It's about listening, understanding, and growing together. When one person dominates every conversation, they miss the opportunity to truly connect with others. More importantly, they fail to show empathy, which is the foundation of a meaningful friendship. Over time, constantly feeling ignored can hurt your self-esteem and make you question whether the friendship is even worth maintaining. So, how should you handle this situation? Start by reflecting on how you feel after each interaction. Do you feel tired, unappreciated, or frustrated? If the answer is yes, it's a sign that something needs to change. The next step is to address the issue directly but gently. You could say something like, I've noticed that when I try to share something important, our conversations often shift to your experiences. I really want to feel heard too. A true friend will take this feedback seriously and try to adjust their behavior. But if they don't change, you may need to reassess their role in your life. A friendship that feels one-sided and emotionally exhausting is not sustainable. This doesn't mean this doesn't mean you need to completely cut them off, but you should reconsider how much emotional energy you invest in the relationship. If they don't value your voice, then maybe they don't deserve such a big place in your life. Remember, you deserve friends who not only listen, but truly understand you. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the quality of a friendship is not measured by how many conversations you have, but by how meaningful those conversations are. A real friend will make you feel heard, respected, and valued. If someone constantly makes you feel otherwise, it might be time to take a step back and invest in relationships that bring you the connection and support you deserve. The friend who always talks down to you. In life, we all want friends who support us, encourage us, and walk alongside us on our journey of growth. But sometimes the very people we trust can become a source of self-doubt and insecurity. Have you ever had a friend who always finds a way to make you feel small? It's as if they can't share their happiness without slipping in a comment that makes you feel inadequate. Their words may not always be direct insults, but they leave you questioning yourself, your achievements, and even your worth. Imagine having a friend named Daniel. Daniel recently got a promotion at work, which is a great achievement. But instead of celebrating in a way that includes you, he turns it into a comparison. Instead of saying, I'm excited about this new opportunity, he says something like, I guess not everyone knows how to push for success like I do. When you talk about your goals, he doesn't encourage you. He points out why you haven't achieved more. Every interaction feels like a subtle reminder that, in his eyes, you're falling behind. It's important to recognize the difference between genuine excitement and intentional belittlement. Some people don't realize that the way they talk about their achievements can come off as condescending. They may just be unaware of how their words affect others. However, if this kind of behavior becomes a pattern, if every conversation leaves you feeling like you're in a race you can't win, it's not unintentional, it's toxic. Stoic philosophy reminds us that we cannot control how others behave, but we can control how we respond. When faced with a friend who constantly makes you feel inferior, ask yourself, why am I maintaining a relationship that leaves me feeling this way? Does this friendship truly add value to my life? Or does it drain my confidence and emotional energy? If you realize that their negativity has been chipping away at your self-esteem, it's time to take action. You have two choices: address the issue or distance yourself. If you believe the friendship is worth saving, have an honest but calm conversation. Instead of accusing them, try expressing how you feel. You could say something like, when you say things like that, it makes me feel disrespected. A real friend will listen and make an effort to change. They may not have realized how their words were affecting you, and this could be a turning point in your friendship. However, if they continue to dismiss your feelings, it might be time to step away. Some friendships can be repaired, but others need to be let go. A friend who constantly belittles you not only affects your mental health, but also holds you back from reaching your full potential. Stoic wisdom teaches us that we should surround ourselves with people who uplift us, not those who diminish our sense of self-worth. Your value is not determined by the opinions of others. You deserve friends who appreciate you for who you are, not those who focus on what they think you lack. If someone in your life consistently makes you feel inadequate, it's a sign that they are not truly supportive. Letting go of toxic friendships can be difficult, but it also frees you to invest in relationships that nurture and encourage you. If you've recognized any of these patterns in your friendships, it may be time to reevaluate your social circle. Don't let negative connections hold you back from becoming the best version of yourself. True friendship is built on respect, support, and growth. A real friend listens, values your presence, and encourages you to succeed without making you feel small. If you've ever had a friend like this, what's one word that describes how they made you feel? Share it in the comments. Sometimes acknowledging the problem is the first step toward freeing yourself from a toxic relationship. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Remember, you deserve friendships that bring real value, joy, and encouragement into your life.